Hey, happy Thursday. It's Phil with Seattle House Mafia. Just a real quick kind of gear review, pre-review of a little piece of gear I received in the mail today that I'm frankly a little bit excited about. So if you've seen any of our streams, any of our videos, you've come out to any of our performances, really depending on the venue, depending on what the event is, we play on a variety of gear, right? We play from the full, pro Pioneer DJ lineup, the Nexus 2, the CDJ-3000s, all the way to a variety of controllers. I think between the three of us, Paul, Sengdo, and myself, we have an FLX4, we have an XDJ-XZ, there's a couple of DDJ-400s, and actually that's what I was going to talk about today. So this is my trusty DDJ-400. I've had it for a couple of years. I'm going to be honest, like, bang for the buck, controller for the money, this is the best money I've ever spent on a piece of DJ gear. $250, super integrated with rekordbox, super solid. I've never had an issue with it. No locking up, no performance issues, nothing. Like, it's been a fantastic controller. I think my only complaint, and this is just purely personal, is when you have a controller like this form factor, I'm a little bit wide, and so sometimes it can feel a little bit cramped when I am performing. But again, that's me. That's got nothing to do with the controller. Like I said, for the money, huge bang for the buck here. But I got a little bit lucky, apparently, because I was out running around on Friday, Black Friday actually, and I had been thinking about getting a second DDJ-400. Then I ran into some videos, and I actually saw there was some stock for the new FLX4 on Pro Sound and Stage Lighting, and I just jumped on it and I grabbed one. $300, so it was a little bit more expensive than the original DDJ. There's a few upgrades, and I'll tell you that's what kind of drove my ultimate decision, besides having a little bit of redundancy with these smaller controllers. Because, like I said, this thing's $250. We've played on the beach with these things. I've done outdoor stuff. Listen, if you spill a beer on this thing and it gets ruined, it's cool, it's fine, it's $250. If you spill a beer on my my Nexus 2 gear, it's an entirely different conversation. So, I figured why not have a backup? So I picked up this FLX4, which really I'm finding out is the replacement for the DDJ-400, though the 400 is still a great piece of gear. And there's just a couple things I'm really itching to play with. I haven't actually plugged this thing in yet. I'm going to do that when I get off here. Right out of the gate, there is a smart crossfader, and all this means is that for anybody that's mixed, multi-genre, or open format, I think one of the challenges and one of the pieces of work of doing that is moving around in those sort of large tempo differentiations. So let's say you're playing hip hop, but you want to go into some house music, so 90 BPMs to 125 BPMs. Everybody's got their tricks, everybody's got their techniques. Well, what the smart crossfader does apparently is you hit the button and the track that's playing, let's say it's a 90 BPM track, it begins to match the tempo between the two tracks, the 126 BPM or 125 BPM track, and as you move the crossfader over, it drops the bass out of the first track, it starts to match the tempo keeps speeding up, and as you get to the other side, it actually echoes out the initial track. So a lot of the tricks we would do manually as DJs, but it sort of automates that for you. So that's pretty cool. They also did a color effects, or a smart color effects. If you played on like any of the 900, the Nexus 2 gear, the Nexus gear, or just really any Pioneer mixer, you're probably familiar with the color effects. There's sweep and filter and crush and dub echo and space and noise. They're things you can either layer on top of the beat effects or just use on their own for whatever you're trying to do. Well, what they did on this one is they actually have multiple effects combined into one effect, and there's a whole list, and so you could do some really cool stuff with the smart color effects, and you still have control just like you do with the filter knobs. So that's going to be a fun one to play with. The one real big interesting thing is apparently Pioneer's coming out with a new kind of mobile version of rekordbox for iOS and Android devices. So instead of having to have your laptop You can potentially DJ with your iPhone, with an iPad, with your Android phone. And I just see huge potential there. You know, I won't know until they release it. Apparently it's early 2023 is when they're going to release that, but that will be fun to see how that kind of evolves. And then I think, you know, lastly, just fundamental differences between the two pieces of gear is they've gone USB-C native, and there's actually two USB-C ports. One, it looks like, is to power the device if you are running like an iPhone that doesn't have enough power to power the device, and then the other is for iPhone connectivity or your iPad connectivity. So the upgrades that they did to it, it's not fundamentally different than the 400, but they really future-proof this thing. And then aesthetics wise, the corners are rounded, it's a little more matte, it's a little less shiny. All the outputs are the same. Oh, last thing, all the outputs are the same. I will say this, I also learned that the microphone, I know for a fact the microphone on the DDJ-400 was a problem for some people who are streaming, doing podcasts, things like that, because the microphone would not be picked up in the recording through Rekordbox. And that was something to do with the routing. I don't know, it's a big complaint. They fixed that. So apparently the microphone's totally integrated. If you're on the microphone, the recording will get picked up. They fixed that. So that's very cool. So it's nice to see a company that actually listens and makes those changes based on feedback. But that's it for now. I'll put another video out when I actually get some time on this thing, maybe a little bit of a mix or performance. And until then, thanks for watching. See you guys soon, and have a good day.